Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Spin Zone. I'm your host, Spin Doc, here with you on behalf of the Daily Bread Network. Please, if you haven't yet, please give us a subscription on YouTube to get all of our content. Follow me at Spin Doc Sports. Give the video a like, give it a share. We do appreciate the love, helps us get all of our content out there. So it is Thursday. It's a short day, super short day. 4 games, well, 5 if you count the doubleheader. So, I still have 3 pitchers to talk about. We'll still do that today. And I kind of give everybody a lead in into tomorrow, because as always on Fridays, I am back with Sharpie and for The Walking Dead, where we have a super show where we talk about 6 pitchers. So let's review yesterday. If you were in VIP, you already know. If you were just posted it on X, 12 in a row. VIP official is at 12 straight, new season high for pretty much everything, running at a 13.5% ROI. It is just absolutely rolling. I have a post on X if you want to get involved in that. It's fun. Somebody asked me if one time if when you have this kind of win streak, does it change the way you cap? Are you like more apt to like give less plays, or more careful? And that would be the first lesson that I want to talk about, is that whether you're on a fire streak like we are right now, whether you're on a cold streak, and everybody has them, including me, it happens to everybody, or whether it's somewhere in between. The first lesson that I can give everybody is, and this is probably the hardest part of being in this business, is that you can't get too high, you can't get too low. You have to just trust yourself. And it sounds kind of cliche-ish, and it's very much easier said than done, but you have to just trust yourself. You have to trust your metrics, trust your capping, trust your gut, trust your read. And when it's right, you go back and look, and this is why we review every day. You go back and look at what you did correctly and look to apply that to the future. Look at, was there anything that you missed? And okay, I'm going to mark that for next time. The worst thing that you can do, and I've talked about this over and over and over again, is to just kind of chalk it up and just say, well, basically every time I win, it's my skill. And every time I lose, it's just bad luck. Just bad luck. Or the pitcher, oh man, this guy's just a bum, or this is trash, or they on some bullshit. I hear that a lot. I hear umpires, I hear referees, I hear fans, I hear everything under the sun to be blamed. And then when you win, it's like, that was my skill. That was just me being better than the books. And neither one of those are true. In gambling or in sports betting, whether you're winning 12 in a row, whether you're losing 5 in a row, whatever, up and down, there's always an element of luck and there's an element of skill. And if it wouldn't be called gambling if there wasn't luck involved. And so, for example, I look to the first play that kind of started off this win streak that we're on in VIP, and Will Warren back on Sunday. And Will Warren was out in Colorado and had an absolute nightmare first inning. Struck out 1 on a line of 6.5, but through, I think, 22, 23 pitches. And we were in trouble. We were in a lot of trouble. And there were storms also that were coming in that, had the game been delayed while he was still in the game, is that he probably wouldn't have come back out. And he was on the verge. The Rockies had the bases loaded. He was on the verge of just absolutely exploding and just totally blowing up and just killing the prop entirely. And he battled back, and we got there, and he got there just before the weather hit and then got taken out. And so, but I tell that story not to say like we were super lucky on Will Warren. We caught a break. We caught a few breaks on Will Warren, but the numbers matched up, the capping matched up, the metrics matched up, the normal criteria that I use for a play matches up, or matched up in that case. And so in that case, it's going to be a play. Going back and looking at it, would I have changed anything, even if it had lost? No. I would just chalk that up to it was an even money play, and sometimes that happens in gambling. The ones that you really got to look at are if you lose a heavy juice one, meaning like minus 140 or worse. And those are the ones that I really analyze and overanalyze, because those are the ones that really add up. And those are the ones that, I'm sorry to say, I see across X daily, is that those are the ones that the predominantly trend bettors and the people that overall are not winning players tend to just give out on the regular. And that, I mean, do I give out a minus 140 or minus 150 every now and then? Sure, I do. But it's also coupled with a plus 115, a plus 105. Your average line is what counts. But I tell that story because the ones you really got to look at are, you just can't have those high juice ones, those heavy juice ones adding up. When you start only winning those at a 50% rate, or maybe even a little better, that's where the juice eats you alive. And then you end up either chasing or doubling back or whatever the case might be. And I might be singing your song if you're listening to this. And so before you give out or take a higher juice play, and what I mean by higher juice, I mean anything minus 140 or worse, is that you really got to look at what is the expected win rate. Because at 140, let's just even say at minus 145, in order to win or to even just break even at that, you have to win at 60% or better. So it's not just a 50-50 shot. And this is actually how books make money quite a bit, is that they do give out 50-50 shots with the side that they think that a lot of the public will be on as the juiced side in that range. And then if they lose, then or if that side wins, then the plus money bets you took from all the people who might have been on the other side will pay for the people that won, and the book breaks even at worst. Now, if the book wins, they pay out, let's say, plus 120 in plus money, but they've collected minus 140 in juice. That's 12 cents per bet. You can see how that adds up over time. That's how books make money. That's one of the predominant ways that they make money. So those are the ones that you really got to look at. But the overall point here is to really just not get too high, not get too low, and analyze yourself and analyze your plays, but don't over analyze it. So, I mean, even during this win streak, I go back and look at them all the time. I go back and look at every play we made. Would I do it again? Did we catch a break? But you can't overanalyze it, and you have to just trust yourself. So that would be my like overall gambling sermon for the day, is just don't get too high, don't get too low, regardless of results. So for pitching results, so a couple things that we learned yesterday is, number one is, and I gave this out here, the actual free plays that I did give out in here did go 1-1. So this was one that VIP got as well. Was I said to take a half unit shot now on Skeens on the over. Worked out. He finished with 7. Got you some plus money if you did take it. And the reason why we always wait for lineups is that exactly what happened with the Diamondbacks, because they had 2 lineup changes that were extremely good for us yesterday. Lawler was in for Marte, and Herrera, who was in for Moreno, was pretty much a wash, slightly favored us, but Lawler in for Marte was a huge boon for us. And my original projected line, I said this on the show yesterday, added up to 6.25, 6.5-ish, somewhere basically right at the line. And so I saw it as a 50-50 shot to begin with. And that's where, when I took, so this is kind of how my mind works. I looked at it where my math added up to about 6.25. Lawler being in for Marte pushed it up by a half a strikeout. So we're at 6.5, maybe even 6.75. We're getting plus money on the over, and it was Paul Skeens. Now, if this was, I'm just making this, and not that he would be at this line, but like Michael Lorenzen or like Ryan Weathers or like a Tyler Anderson, like a low strikeout pitcher, it probably would be a little different and it would change my line of thinking. But since it was Paul Skeens, it's a guy that I could realistically see getting 7 in the desert in Arizona. You add in all of that, and then I saw it as, okay, the math and everything else says it's a 50-50 shot. And we're getting plus 115, which is what I gave up to VIP. I think in here it was at plus 120 or plus 125 was the best line I could find. But 50-50 shot at plus money means it only needs to win 50% of the time to be profitable. And that means that it's plus EV being expected value on a play. So whereas the minus 140 needs to win at 60% to be profitable, you only need to win on a plus 115 at about 49%. And so if you over and over and over again, if you're taking bets that have about a 51% chance of winning, that only need to win at 47 to 48% to be profitable, you can see how over time you're going to make money. So that was what led to the Skeens play. The other one that just crashed and burned, even though Rave was in the lineup, was Hunter Green. Hunter Green threw in the zone like he usually does, but just didn't strike guys out. Had a lot of early misses despite trying to pound the zone, and he got Rave, the kid Rave, who got put in at the end twice. He got Waters once. Those are the ones that I said I wanted in. The problem wasn't those guys. The problem was that nobody else struck out, and everybody else was making phenomenal zone contact. So the lesson I'm taking away from this is that that was probably, I don't want to necessarily say it was a trap line, but it was a line that just based on the overall content of the Royals lineup, if I had to go back, I would probably just say, you know what, probably just throw it away. I'm not mad at playing it just because we had already had Skeens for the plus money. So if you played the free plays yesterday, you ended up a little bit because of the plus money on Skeens. But there just wasn't any zone whiff at all. Even from the guys, some of their guys you'd expect, like Salvi Perez and a few of the other ones, they just didn't exist. So if that's not going to happen, it wasn't that Green did anything discernibly wrong. It was just that he threw in the zone and they made contact in that zone. So elsewhere across MLB, other things that I want to take away from yesterday is the Rockies are horrible as usual. Boyd was the 12th win in a row in VIP. We took in a slight little ladder on a over 6.5 and an over 7.5. The Rockies on the road are a team that you can probably just look to even include something in a parlay and just blindly take an over, regardless of the pitcher. Some of their swing metrics are just god awful, atrocious, just absolutely horrendous. And then the other one the other guy that I wanted to talk about right now was, and I see Roger, say what's up to Roger, always with us and good to have you, my friend. Yeah, Peralta. It wasn't a show play. It wasn't one that I had. We did talk about him, and I know that it was a popular play. And unfortunately, that's what you saw yesterday, in my view, was really, I call him the Blake Snell experience, but really it's the Freddie Peralta experience. Is that just started off absolutely electric, 6 strikeouts through I think 3 or 3 1/3, and then didn't strike anybody out after that, and then pitched himself 108 pitches and pitched himself out of the game. Ended up had I think no walks through that point, but ended up walking 3. And that's unfortunately what a pitcher like Freddie Peralta can do, is that he's incredibly volatile, and he is of the Blake Snell mold, of the Robbie Ray mold, of a lot of these guys that go out of Corbin Burns is kind of like this year. Guys that pitch out of the zone that often. And with the way that I said to Peralta with VIP was, it was not a play. We threw it away, but I did say you can take a little bit on it if you want the action, or if you want to include it with something else, maybe you can drop it down to 6, which would have hit. But that's always the danger in taking a pitcher that throws outside of the zone that much is that if you have a team, even a team that might have about half and half with people who chase and people who don't, is that they can pitch themselves out of a game. If the team just and this is what the Red Sox did. They just stopped chasing. They just stopped hacking at his stuff outside of the zone around 1.5 times through the lineup, around 1.5 times through. And when that happens, I mean, Freddie Peralta is who he is. And he had Contreras as his catcher, and Contreras calls him the same way every time, is that he's going to call those fastballs outside the zone. He's going to have him throw that curve that if it misses, it's just uncompetitive. And that's just the way that he pitches. And so, unfortunately, for those that did take the over for it, you did see the volatility that was Freddie Peralta. It's one of the reasons why I'm sometimes hesitant on Peralta, and also why I'm sometimes hesitant on guys like Blake Snell when he does pitch, because those guys can just get you to the highest mountain and the lowest valley, all within the span of about an inning and a half. And so very, very volatile guy with Freddie Peralta. So that, I think, is what we'll take away from yesterday. We will get on with the business of the day. Before we do that, want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat and welcome you all in. Want to give a shout out to Said. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Good morning again to Roger. Appreciate you, my guy. Mario, always with us. Good morning to you. Same thing with Trying to Rob FanDuel. Appreciate you being here. Thank you, my friend. Nicholas Harris with us a lot. Thank you. No, thank you, man. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for all the love. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it. And E.S. Gooner saying Cash Bello under 4.5 using your lineup plus math approach. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. That's awesome and good. Good for you. I'm always a huge believer in that, even if it's one that I wasn't on or I didn't give out, is that when you win and the books don't, that's the best feeling in the world. That's what counts to me. So, I'm even if it's something where, like I don't see it at all, or even I might even think, well, I'm going to pass on it, but I think the other side hits, and then that side hits. That's the other point, I guess, from a learning perspective, is there's no room for jealousy in this business. There's no room for envy. Is that every single person, even if you didn't play Bello, should be happy for E.S. Gooner. Every single person should be happy for those that played other things that won, even if you weren't on them, because guess what? They won and the books didn't, and that's what counts. So, Zimmy, what's up, my guy? Yes, 12 in a row. On a roll. We're going to keep it rolling today. And Ghosts of Gurlatus, I'm sorry if I'm just absolutely butchering that. What up to you as well? Welcome in, and saying Padres bullpen no bueno. Actually, so no bueno, amigo. So I'm assuming, actually, I'll be totally honest. I'll be totally honest. I didn't follow the Padres game yesterday. I'm going to go back and look. I assume that they pissed away the game. And yep, sure looks like they did. It sure looks like they did. 6-1, I think it was, where they blew it yesterday. And I think the biggest culprits appear to be, well, actually, there were a whole bunch of culprits, I think, even after Hart, because Hart gave up 5 earned runs, but they were still ahead when he left. So I'm assuming that's what you're referring. Yep, they pissed it away. They did indeed. So, oh, you were in Petco yesterday. Okay. That's a beautiful stadium, by the way. Beautiful stadium, beautiful city. San Diego is a really cool town if you haven't been there. And Petco's a fun park. So glad you got to be there, but sorry you had to be there to witness that, especially against a team like the Marlins. So, all right, we will get on with the business of the day. As I've said, we do have a short slate, but I still do have 3 pitchers to talk about. And one of them is in a game 2 of a doubleheader. So you can probably guess who that one is, because we talked about him yesterday, but we're going to talk about him again and how to maybe approach it today. So that one will go last. First one we'll start is Shane Baz. The righty gets the Astros today, 22.3% strikeout percentage, 9.4 walk percentage. This game first pitch is at 7:10 Eastern time. And we do actually, I think it's 8:10 Eastern time. That might be a typo on my part, but we are looking at a 4.5 line with slightly juiced, reasonable juice, minus 138 with an under 4.5 of plus money. All right. So a couple things about Shane Baz is that you need to know first and foremost is number one, is the man does live in the zone, 54.5%. That is one of the highest marks among any starter today. I think the only starter even yesterday that was higher than that was Hunter Green. And so Shane Baz does live in the zone. He attacks with a four-seam fastball, curve and change, throws them in pretty equal sequence to both sides. But we have an Astros lineup that is projected, like usual, to be 8 righties and 1 lefty. Now, if this is the lineup that they actually run, this would be good for the Astros because Baz does strike out righties at a 17.3% clip versus 29% to lefties. Baz has also had some issues striking guys out on the road. Only a 19% strikeout percentage on the road, whereas he's mowed guys down at home. Now, if you look at his road, if you look at his road starts, there's only been 3 of them, so it's a little unfair because most of his starts have been at home. But if you look at his starts at home versus on the road, you do see a couple similarities to the Astros. Number one is that you see that these 3 road starts have been at Miami, at Toronto, and at San Diego. So Miami aside, the 2 characteristics that ring true with Toronto and San Diego are that they swing often in the zone and they make contact when they do. Now, Baz was at a 4.5 in Toronto and a 5.5 in San Diego. He hit 6 in both. However, he was in Miami a little bit after that, and there were some, I would say, irregularities in the line. There were some things that I saw then on that day that I don't see today that made me kind of go, huh. Now, the Marlins, when you compare them to the Blue Jays and to the Padres when it comes to overall zone contact, is the Marlins do have a very high zone swing rate, and at least recently have had a very high zone contact rate. Now, the difference is with the Blue Jays, for example, the Blue Jays don't. So as an example, last few weeks, Marlins have swung in the zone at 72.7%, which is the highest rate in Major League Baseball. The Blue Jays, over the last few weeks, and when Baz faced them at home, they had a 64.7% swing rate in the zone, which is the third lowest in Major League Baseball. So the reason why I say this is Baz's strikeout rate does go up near 40% when he does get in a pitcher count. So makes sense is that when you're going to swing a lot at those zone pitches, then there's a higher chance that you can make contact, put the ball in play, and not get strikeouts. What the Blue Jays would do is they would take pitches in the zone and they would put themselves in a poor position to make to have to make 2-strike contact in those pitchers' counts. Padres, same thing, 65.6%, which is under league average. And they also had a bunch of guys that day, if I remember that lineup, that did take. So who do we have in the lineup today? What I'm looking for guys that swing in the zone and make contact. So first 3, we'll go 3-3-3. We have Pena, Paredes, and Altuve. So all 3 make great zone contact. Paredes and Altuve do not swing in the zone. Paredes takes a lot of pitches. So between Paredes and Altuve, I got him for 1, maybe 1.25. Pena is 0 for 6 lifetime against Baz, so you're probably not getting 1 there. So let's just count all those 3 as 1. The next 3, Walker, Caratini, Myers, all 3 swing in the zone above league average. And Walker specifically does not make contact when he does. He also doesn't make contact when he chases either. He's got the worst zone, or second worst zone and chase contact rate in the Astros lineup today. I got to put him down for 1. Caratini and Myers, I probably got to put down for 1 to 1.5 maybe, because both of them have struck out 2 out of 5 times against Boz. Both swing in the zone. The thing with Myers, though, is that Myers makes absolutely horrendous contact when he chases. Boz doesn't have the greatest chase stuff. But his curveball can make you miss, and that's and as can his changeup, and that's the problem I have with Myers, is that he's got almost a 40% whiff rate to a changeup. So between those two guys, I got him for 1.5. So I got 1.5 for those two guys. I got 1 for Walker, and that gets us to 2.5. Then I got Paredes and Altuve combining for 1. So now we're at 3.5, maybe 4. So the question then becomes, can we get to 5, and can we get to 5? We go down to the bottom: Diaz, Smith, and Dubon. And this is where Boz can definitely get there. Diaz swings a lot in the zone, makes contact in the zone, but has struck out to Boz 3 out of 6 times. I got to put him down for 0.5. Dubon makes elite contact in the zone, swings a ton, and has not struck out to Boz in 5 plate appearances, so he's a dead spot. Then it comes down to Smith. Now, if the Astros are going to bat Smith in this lineup, he has the worst zone contact of anybody in the lineup, and he takes pitches in the zone. He is definitely a strikeout. So what I come up with all of that, if this is their projected lineup, and this is the order that it comes in, is that I'm coming up with 5 for sure, with a possibility of 6. And so if this is the Astros lineup, and I am going to wait because there are other changes that they can make and things that they can do that would make me maybe rethink this one, is that this would be at least a half unit on the over for Boz, even with his road struggles, even though his lefty righty disparity. The reason why is because you have 4 guys who take pitches in the zone or swing at league average. And of those guys, you also have a few of them that have some decent K history, albeit in limited plate appearances with Boz. So guys that I have striking out for sure in this lineup: I have Smith for sure, I have Walker for sure. You want to make sure, if you're going to wait for lineups, that those 2 are going to be in. Specifically, you're going to want Walker probably in the top 4, which is where he's projected to be right now. Smith is projected to bat in the 8 hole. That's fine. Even if he faces Boz twice, I can see him getting there once. So you got Walker and Smith for 1. I probably I have to put Caratini, Myers, and Diaz for about 1.5 combined. So now we're at 3.5, maybe 4. And then between Paredes and Altuve, there's probably 1 in there somewhere. So that's what gets us to 5. Now, if Walker or Smith are not in the lineup, Walker or Smith aren't in, even if Caratini's not in, I would maybe rethink this and maybe either want to bring him down or just pass. So I need Walker, Caratini, Smith. I specifically want Walker in one of the top 4 spots to want to take an over on Boz. But if I do, that is where I'm looking to go. So that's the breakdown for Shane Boz. Next up is the one that I assume would be one of the most public ones today, and there's nothing wrong with that because I'm looking at him too. Mackenzie Gore, one of the early Cy Young candidates, and he's been dominant at the lefty, striking guys out at a 36.2% gaudy rate, 8.2% walk rate at Seattle tonight. And as expected, you have a sky-high line. Line is up from all of his previous starts. He's at a 7.5 at -130 with a lightly juiced under 7.5. So first things first, with Mackenzie Gore and the Mariners, the combo, the under is not an option. So you got to cross that off right off the bat. I don't care. I'm crossing it off, even though a bunch of other sites have it at slight plus money. I don't care. It's over or nothing, or you can bring them down, whatever. Now, a couple things I see in this line, even though Mackenzie Gore is averaging about 17 outs per game, and he has hit over 16.5, but he's hit over 16.5 in 2 of his last 3 when he was set at 17.5. And now they drop him. So the drop to 16.5 is a little, I wouldn't say concerning. It's a little, Now, what that might tell me is that he's not going to go as long, but he's going to strike a whole bunch of guys out, because that can be a reason too. The reason why I say that is Gore is allowing 5.18 hits per game, and he has allowed 4+ hits in every start this year, except for his last one against San Francisco at home, where he absolutely dominated. So he's allowed 4+ hits in every road start. and they drop his hits from the 4.5 it's usually at to 3.5. Now it's juiced to the over, I will say that, but the drop to 3.5 and the drop to 1.5 on his earned runs, which usually sit at 2.5, leads me to believe that this will be quite a good start for Mr. Gore. What I'm seeing on this one is a potential where Gore can go out, and what I'm really looking for is I want to see if the books think that he's maybe would get touched up a little bit, because it sure doesn't seem like that by the line, or if he would go out there and absolutely dominate with strikeouts, and that's how you run your pitch count up. Because you got to remember, if the guy's outs are down, it doesn't necessarily mean bad things. It's got to be combined with hits, walks, earned runs, because if the other ones are down and in the pitcher's favor, then the innings, the outs being down could just mean that he's going to strike a bunch of guys out and he's going to throw a lot of pitches. Now, Gore's walks are only up at 2 books right now, and it is set at a 2.5 juice to the under when he is walking an average of 2 guys per game. So that's in its normal range. So I see a potential for strikeouts here. I definitely see a potential for over here. And what I see here looking at the Mariners lineup, because Mackenzie Gore is in the zone about league average, slightly under, but he absolutely torches lefties, striking them out at 42.5%. His slider against lefties just plays so well, as does the position and the arm angle on his curve. But he's still getting righties at 33.7%. So right now the Mariners lineup is projected to be eight righties and one lefty, 8 righties. Now, the one thing for Gore is that lefty is projected to be J.P. Crawford, who is a tough guy to strike out. But with Gore, what I'm always looking for is I am looking for the amount of zone contact that these guys make. I'm also looking at, do they swing in the zone? Very, very similar to the last one that we talked about, very similar to Boz, not quite as heavy. But the reason why I say that is because his chase stuff and his strikeout put away stuff is so lights out elite, to the point of curve, slider, changeup, which are his 3 main out pitches to lefties and righties, he has almost a 50% whiff rate to those 3 pitches. So you put yourself in that position, and Gore is striking you out 1 out of every 2 times, which is absolutely absurdly elite. So I'm looking for zone contact, and I'm looking for guys who are going to take pitches in the zone. And lucky for us, we have that. And this is probably, I think, why the outs maybe are a little bit down, because the Mariners do make you throw pitches. Of the 9 guys in their projected lineup, you have 6 guys that take in the zone and that don't swing. Now, of those 6 guys, you have Crawford leading off, who does make contact above league average, but it's not elite. It's just a little bit above average. So you got to put him down for a half. Julio Rodriguez swings a ton in the zone and has under average for contact. He's a 1+ for me. So even though Gore is 0 for 3 against him, that's 1 game. Could have been a bad game. Could have been a different situation. I have Rodriguez for 1 for sure. I also have him as potentially a 1+ candidate. The same with Cal Raleigh, who swings above average in the zone, makes contact under 80%. He has to be a 1 as well. The other guy that I originally put him as a 0.75 or almost a 1, but the more I think about it, he's got to be a 1 too, is Randy Arozarena. The reason being is because he does take in the zone and has the worst zone contact of anybody in this lineup. So that's another one. So of these top 4, I have 4.5 strikeouts already with the potential for 5. You can see where I'm going with this one. Mitch Garver takes a ton of pitches in the zone as well. He actually has the lowest swing rate in the zone of anybody in this lineup. He's projected in the 5 hole and makes contact under 80%. He's got to be a 1 as well. Now we're at 6. Dylan Moore swings in the zone, makes contact average. But the problem with Dylan Moore is Gore's most off-throwing pitch, which can be an out pitch. He is susceptible to whiffing at heat, which is what Gore throws on a 4-seam fastball. He's got to be another 1 as well. So now with those guys, we are at 5.5 with the potential 6. So you can see where 8 becomes very, very attainable. The only one that I'm a little concerned about if he is in the lineup is Solano. The reason why is Solano only has an 18% strikeout percentage career to lefties. He doesn't whiff to the slider, which is a main out pitch. He doesn't whiff at a slider for lefties either, and he makes good zone contact. I still have him for a half just because he does take pitches in the zone, but he's might be one of the ones that's tougher to get. The kid Williamson takes in the zone, does make good contact when he swings, but also has a very higher than normal whiff or strikeout percentage to lefties. So you got to put him down for 0.5 to 1. And then at the bottom, you have Rivas, who makes contact in the zone, but takes a ton. He has the second lowest swing rate in that zone and has terrible, terrible chase contact when it comes to anything chase. And also, he'll bat righty. To a changeup, he has a whiff percentage of almost 40%. So you got to put him down for 1. What all of this adds up to is this adds up to 8 with the potential for 9. So if this is the lineup that they're going to give us, and especially if Solano's not in, I'm not even as concerned about Crawford, even though he's a higher contact guy. But when you give me 5 guys that make contact under league average in the zone, and then even of the guys that make contact above league average, every single one of them, all 4 take pitches. So all 4 take pitches in the zone. And even if they make contact, you're putting yourself in a bad spot against Mackenzie Gore. Now, what I also like to do is to look at, of those guys that take pitches in the zone, what is their chase contact like? Crawford is decent. Crawford is good. Garver is horrible. Solano is average. Williamson is average, and Rivas is horrible. So there's potential to get those guys as well. 8 is very attainable here. 8 and 9, even though he's on the road, it hasn't really mattered because Mackenzie Gore just has been that dude. So it's over or nothing. If this is the lineup that they're going to give us, this is a very, very clear look at the over. I see Kid Keon, welcome in, my guy. Appreciate you. Would you play Gore pitching outs over? The drop has me a little concerned. It makes me think that he might use up a lot of pitches and maybe get more strikeouts, but maybe because 16 and a half outs, I mean, it's less than 6 innings. So will he get there? I mean, you could, but I'm probably keying more in on the strikeouts, which is what the story that the line is telling me for this one. Good question, though. All right, that should be it for Mackenzie Gore. Last but not least, we're going to talk about him again. The estimate for Mr. Zach Wheeler in game 2. Same strikeout percentage and same numbers as yesterday. I won't rehash that. And we do have about the same line as what we had yesterday, over 6.5 at -122 and under 6.5 at -106. All right. So normally I'm not a huge fan of playing double headers, but Sharpie, shout out to him again, is that has gotten me on a couple angles that you can look for in double headers, specifically with the lineup, because Christopher Sanchez is going in the first one, right? And so it's not like the Braves can put out a poverty lineup out there and then can, maybe squeak out a win and then just kind of pack it in against Wheeler. They got to bring it both games. Otherwise, they're going to drop both. And so who I expect to be in the lineup, really the projected lineup is the same from game 1 to game 2. We're not going to know this until after I see the game 1 lineup, which I'll have a better picture. But there are a few guys that could be in the lineup for game 2 that I think would play exceptionally well for two Wheeler's strengths. And so the ones that I'm looking for specifically are ones that don't make the best zone contact. So if he's going to be in, Fairchild, Olson, Riley, even though he's got a good K history against him, Ozuna, and there's a few others that can be in there where if some of those bench guys are, and I know Austin Riley and Ozuna aren't, but if like guys like Fairchild or even guys like Kellenic are going to be in the lineup for game 2, if they're going, depending on what they do, then this is a very, very clear look at the over. based on who's in the lineup for game one, should give at least a decent indication of who's going to be in for game two, because it's not going to, it's highly doubtful that it's going to be the same. But I wanted to quickly cover Wheeler here, because what anybody should be looking for with Wheeler is always zone swing and zone contact, because just like with Mackenzie Gore, if you're going to take pitches against this guy, he's going to put you in a vice. He's got so many out pitches. His chase stuff is absolutely elite. So you're going to want guys in this lineup that are not going to swing in the zone or are going to make poor zone contact. So the ones that I already told you about, but then Sean Murphy would be another one. And then you want Olson in for sure. You also, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have, you also want Michael Harris in, because of the history against Wheeler with 10 out of 10 Ks and 25 plate appearances. So those are the guys that I would be looking for. If you get that, then it's a very clear indication that this is going to be an over. I'm not even looking to do an under for this one. This is an over or nothing spot for me. All right, that's Wheeler. All right, a couple more comments. Godspeed KD, welcome in and good morning. Thanks for joining. Phillies rolling with two great pitchers back to back today. I haven't decided on what I'm going to do on the Braves side of things. I'm not doing anything with Smith Shawver, but Sale is going to be dependent on lineup. Again, it's going to depend on who they use in that first game, how that first game goes, and then we'll determine who's going to be in the lineup for game two. So Wu Rizza, welcome in. Appreciate you saying Sanchez over 17.5 outs last night, minus 120. Yeah, it's always a good bet. Yeah, it's always a good bet to take at home. Christopher Sanchez, being a sinker baller, and even with his increased velo and his increased strikeouts, he is still a ground ball pitcher. And so taking over 17.5 outs is never a bad play at home. It is juiced a little bit, but I totally get the look. He's an absolute unit at hitting it, and it's been a money train. That was something else that Sharpie turned me on to last year. The other thing is, speaking of things that he turned me on to, if you didn't know, it's Houston and it's Philadelphia are probably the two biggest culprits, where when they have ground ball pitchers going, you should see how much they water their grass, because they put gallons upon gallons upon gallons of that on the infield. So much so where other teams have complained that there's like little standing puddles and it's soggy. Why do you do that? Well, what happens when you have a sinker baller who, when you pitch sinkers at the top of the zone and get the hitter to swing down, you induce ground balls. And what happens to ground balls in wet grass? They slow down. And so base hits potentially become outs, or potential force outs or fielder's choices become double plays. And it's not conspiracy theorist either. There's been acknowledgement that they do that, and there's really no rule against it. So whenever Sanchez is pitching, you can expect the infield to be like a little boggy, little soggy today. And part of that reason is that you want that sinker to induce ground balls, which then quicker outs, which also means higher number of innings that a pitcher can go before he reaches his pitch count. And you see where I'm going with this. So that's how you get to the pitching outs, and that's why it happens. Quentin Advance, welcome in. Appreciate you being here. It's kind of in that same vein, my thoughts on Sanchez. I'm not sure I'm as big of a fan about for the strikeouts. The 5.5, even though it's the Braves and they are prone to striking out, there's some decent history here. There's also some decent contact with where he throws the ball. Let me go to my Sanchez notes. Is that you don't have a great strikeout percentage to begin with. Only 15 Ks and 60 plate appearances for the Braves against Sanchez in this projected lineup. And so you have a few guys that have really, really poor K history, or great, poor for Sanchez. 1 out of 6 for Acuna, 1 out of 7 for Riley, 2 out of 11 for Olson or Ozuna, 1 out of 12 for Olson. Murphy and Harris are the two that really strike out a lot to him. I came up with about 5.75 with the potential for 6. And when I come up with that, I think it's probably, to me, it's a 50-50 shot. And so I'm not paying minus 154 juice on the off chance that something goes awry, or on the off chance that if the Phillies maybe have a game plan where they don't want to use Wheeler as much, they can get more innings out of Sanchez. You can throw more sinkers, water the shit out of the infield. You get more outs out of Sanchez, which then leaves your bullpen much fresher for game 2. And it's not because you think Wheeler will struggle. It's just because he's your absolute ace. And so why would you overuse him if you don't have to? So that's kind of my general take on Sanchez. When I look at his earned runs and hits, those are all where they should be. But I mean, the best bet for me always is with Sanchez, especially at home, is the outs. And I know that I know Riza already said about taking it. And yeah, I mean, it's always a good bet at home because of the reasons that I mentioned. All right. Other looks and sides and stuff today. If you took the under on my Timberwolves, I mean the under hit, but that was because our offense was so pathetic. So kind of had a feeling that we might get smacked. But as I said, I'm never betting against them. So I do have a lean on the NBA that I'll get to in a minute, but with only 4 Major League Baseball games, there's really not a ton to look at when it comes to like overall plays. The only one that I think probably might have some value is the Rays at plus 102 have some value. If you really want to get your money in and want to gamble, this is going to be more of a gamble because the line says that Barrios can have a decent start, but that the bullpen could give it up. Is that the Athletics at plus 145? But that would be something that would just do a flyer or put in a big parlay or something like that. Really, the only one that I like at a plus money side would be the Rays at plus 102. From a totals perspective, I think that even though it's going to be chalky and cliche, the Mariners team total under makes a lot of sense. Mariners first 5 team total makes a lot of sense. Again, there's easily the potential for 8+ from Gore here, and the Rays team total over can also make sense as well. I'm not enough to make me want to like invest anything in it and give it out as a play, but I think that there are a couple of things I see in the line that say that Gusto could get could get smacked around a little bit. So Rays team total or Rays first 5 team total. The only other big one that I have is for the NBA. I actually think that the Knicks win tonight. I think that my personal prediction, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, is that the Knicks do win the game tonight and then get the shit beat out of them in game 6. That's how I'm seeing this projecting. It's kind of like the reverse of what happened with OKC and Minnesota, where the home team won the first 2 games. The the home team then again came back and smoked them in game 3 before then losing a close one and getting smoked. It's kind of operating in reverse. So I do think that the Knicks win tonight. I have a lean on the Knicks at -4. It's come down to -4 right now. I think there's a lot of public money coming in on the Pacers, but I do think the Knicks win. I'm not as big of a fan of betting -170 on a team that is in the spot that they are in. And then I think that at home, I think that I personally am looking at a Pacers team total under. I think that the Knicks can get a lot more physical tonight. I think that the home crowd can carry them tonight. They've shown in spurts that they can stop the Pacers like they did pretty much from in the entire second half of game 3. So I'm looking at the Knicks tonight, and then I'm looking at, if it plays out like this, if the Knicks do win tonight, then I'm looking at an absolute Pacers obliteration in game 6. So, all right, that's going to do it today. Thank you. Roger asking, sorry, one more question. What about Gusto? Based on what I'm seeing in some of the lines, I think if you're going to take anything for him, there's some value on his over-earned runs at plus 105. I don't think he goes a full 5 innings, but -195 is just stupid. So I'm not taking an under on that. Strikeouts, I think, is lined pretty correctly. So the one that I would look to take, if anything, is if you want to include it in a parlay or something like that, or even if you want to just put a little on your own, would be earned runs over 2.5 at plus 105. The only risk with that is that he does throw a lot of pitches because the Rays have some guys that take, and that he, with his under outs recorded, maybe he allows 1 or 2 earned runs and then is out by the fifth, is out like before the 5th inning is up, which is why I kind of like the Rays' first 5 team total a little bit more. But I think if you want some plus money, there's at least some decent value. That's on DraftKings right now. It's basically even money or a little bit better for Gusto. So plus over 2.5 earned runs would be the lean that I would have for him. All right, one more time through the chat. Thank you to Sed. Thank you to Roger, Mario, Trying to Rob FanDuel, Nicholas, ES Gooner 7, Zimmy, Ghost. Hope your Padres can rebound. Sorry you had to watch that yesterday. Kid Keon, Godspin KD, Woo Riza, Quentin, appreciate you all. Thank you so much for being here. If you haven't yet, please make sure to subscribe to the Daily Bread Network on YouTube. Follow me at Spin Doc Sports. Like, share the video. It helps us get our stuff out there. We really do appreciate it. Also, I just posted it right before I went on the air. 12 in a row in VIP. We're absolutely rolling. So the link there can get you in for a couple of days, get you in for a week, get you in for a month, whatever you want. Would love to. I would love to have the opportunity to prove to you that everything that I say that I'm about, because I'm always in this business. For me, it's always earned, not given. And is that that's why I said that's one of the other reasons why I do this show too, is that I love the opportunity to prove to you that you deserve, that I deserve to have you watch my show. I deserve to have you in the VIP, and that I've earned that. So if you like what you hear, please give us some love, and best of luck with everything that you're tailing. And we will see you tomorrow. No show in the morning tomorrow. It'll be a double super show with Sharpie at 1 p.m. Eastern time. I'll be on The Walking Dead with Sharpie's Bets. You'll see it on X. It'll be all over. He should be posting something about it today too. But the reason why we do that, for those that are just tuning in for the first time, is that when I did a Friday show and then he did his show with me on it, we found out that we were just basically talking about the same things. So I don't want people to like I'll gladly sacrifice this slot in this show for one day so that we're not just talking about the same stuff and sounding repetitive. So Walking Dead, 1 p.m. tomorrow. You'll get alerts if you're subscribed to any of the stuff that you see on the screen here. But best of luck if you're tailing. And thank you all for being here. I'm out. See you tomorrow.